guys, welcome back to Jerome Bee Farm and Homestead. This is going to be a follow-up video on hive rotations. So I just got done rotating hive number 3, and hive number 3 just got done eating me up. So I've got stung 3 times, once right between the eyes, on the shoulder, actually 4 on the calf and on the knee. So that sucks, but it's part of beekeeping, and you know, to me it's worth it for just the enjoyment I get out of this and the honey we get to harvest. And to me, working with bees is it's a stress reliever for me. It's nice and relaxing. So we're going to go in this huge swarm from last year. So if you want to know the history on this, there's a huge swarm playlist. This swarm was like that big, this big around, and it was so big it filled up 2 deeps. I put I think 4 drawn frames in here was all I put in. The rest of it was blank foundation, and they tried to abscond the next day, but I had an excluder over the front, so the whole thing was covered with all the bees, and I smoked them all back in, and I put 1 brood frame in the top. And after that, man, they just filled this thing up, and they also filled up 2.5 honey supers full of honey on top of all that. So this hive was super strong. So going into winter, they still had some of that population, right? And that's too many bees going into winter for the amount of honey stores they had just in these boxes here, because I didn't leave the supers on. I harvested that. So they started going through their honey about midwinter, and I put some sugar feeders on them early on because I suspected that would happen to them. So they're a good candidate to rotate. I felt it. It's about light to medium heavy. So these bees are hungry, and they got a feeder on here, and I just put some sugar blocks on it last week before we got all the rain. So let's see how much of that they've consumed. I'm going to give them some smoke. Hopefully they're friendlier than that last hive. They're festooning up in here. Hopefully they're not building comb. Actually, they had built some comb up in this feeder last week, and they've almost consumed all that sugar. Get you a close up of that. Yeah, so I put, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks of sugar in there, and that was last weekend, I believe. So they've worked on it pretty good. Tells me they're hungry. We'll try and smoke these down into the hive. Not a lot of smoke coming out. I know it seems like I'm really cranking on it, but there it goes. It's smoking a little better now. It's been sitting a little bit so it doesn't stay nice and hot. And I think, well, get this off of here. I'm going to smoke them in the front entrance too. I'm going to pull this reducer off. I need to pull it off of all of them. Kind of pressed for time this evening. If you're coming out to do an inspection and you want to find your queen, don't crank a bunch of smoke in your hive. That makes it harder. So this queen in this hive, I believe, was a virgin queen when I believe it was a cash swarm, and I got an additional queen out of this hive and reintroduced her into another hive, and she's doing well. Bee stung my glove. Well, sorry, lady. Getting those first frames out is usually the hardest. There we go. So that's a honey frame there. So they are not starving to death. But the hive is not that heavy. So let's see what else we can find here. If you happen to see the last video, these bees are behaving much nicer. So we've actually got a little bit of brood there. and we're making drone brood on the bottoms. So we need to clean this up. Oh, that stinger is in my knee. It's good to have drones, but you don't want your drone comb, you know, connecting down. And it's also a good time to look and see. You see little black dots that are varroa mites, because they like to get in the drone brood. I haven't seen one yet. Yay. So this will go over to the chickens. They love this stuff. Lots of protein in that for them. I'll just leave those there. The bees will clean that up. So that's odd. Second frame in, we got brood. I mean, it's not odd, but usually you want to see it in the center. Got a little bit of comb here on the side. Need to get that off. Bridge comb. See them sucking up that protein? They don't waste anything. So this frame is totally laid up. Nice, that's what you want to see. Going into spring, getting ready for the nectar flow. All those bees are gonna come out, increase the population, and there'll be more bees to go do work, collect nectar, make honey. And we have eggs on here in all that empty spot. This is all eggs. So she's been laying on this recent. This queen in here is a dark colored queen. She is hard to spot. So I got to make a conscious effort to think about, I'm looking for a dark queen, because she doesn't just jump out to your eye like a amber colored queen. She blends in. Oh, this frame is stuck again like the other. There's drone brood on the bottom. So I'm just kind of looking for our queen. So brood all around here, eggs in here. This hive is going to do well this year again if they don't swarm. So since this queen, I think this is actually her second year. She swarmed last year, so I think she will be less instinctively apt to swarm because she's younger. And a lot of that has to do with how much space they have in the hive as well. So, but I found that the newer, younger queens are more apt to stay at home and lay eggs and build the hive up. Man, we just got brood, and more brood here. I'm hoping we'll spot the queen. I got to get this box off and clean up that drone brood that's on the bottom. Look at that, just another built up, and here's a little queen cup. I'll take that off of there. Don't even think about it. It's empty. It's probably left from last year. Don't see her. So where they put their swarm cells are usually along the bottoms here. There'll be drone brood, and then there'll be some swarm cells in here. And they'll put them up around in here too, but most of the time they're along the bottom. Yeah, this one's stuck too. So this is all pollen here, honey, and that's all honey. That's a heavy frame. And they're drawing out this one next to it here. All right, so let's get this back together and we'll go into the bottom. Getting a lot of bees in there around me, so I'm gonna smoke them down here pretty good. So this hive here is getting a little hot. You know, when you break into them, you do this invasive of an inspection. they'll get a little grumpy with you. So it's a good opportunity to look at these drone larvae. Look for little dark specks on them. That would be your varroa mites. I don't see a single mite. Knock on wood. So let's clean this up. Empty frame. So this is looking like we're going to do a rotation. We're seeing empty stuff down here on the bottom. Unlike the prior hive, where that thing was full like a top would be. So here's some little bit of honey and a bridge comb there going the wrong direction. So what's up with this frame is the bees have cleaned all the wax off here and they don't like it. So that's why they drew this thing out sideways. So this frame really needs to come out of here, but there's some good wax or comb there, and maybe they'll fix it. I'll give them a chance. So when you use plastic foundation, make sure you got good wax coating on it, because if you don't, that's what'll happen. We're seeing pollen here, so that means I might see some brood. No eggs. Lightweight, nothing to it. Little pollen. No eggs. Kind of keeping an eye out for that queen too. Boy, they're getting upset. Hate to smoke too much. I want to see that queen if I can. And I don't remember if I marked her or not. I'm thinking I did. We got some brood here. So she's laid eggs all in here and here. You know, there's enough bees in this hive. Coverage is not going to be an issue. I may go ahead and do it anyway. If it was a weaker hive, I wouldn't even consider it. And she's been laying on this. So we got 2 brood frames down here so far. We could put them up top if we wanted to. And that's all honey and empty. And this is honey and pollen, bee bread. Did not spot that queen. So if this bottom had a lot of brood and capped brood, I would not be rotating it. I think we're good on this one. And this box don't weigh nothing. So there's nothing down here we need to clean up. Look at that wet. Wow. Those bees are mad. I was talking to Okie Rob last week. He's located a little farther down south than I am, and he rotated last week. And he said his bees ate him up. So this is a fairly invasive process to a hive that's protective coming out of winter. Be ready. We'll go ahead and put this on here. They really don't need it because there's some honey in there, but get rid of that sugar. Okay, so that's how you do it. That's how you rotate your boxes. So I'm in Zone 7, Central Oklahoma. And that's the way a lot of folks do it around in this area. Depends on where you live. Some people use single deeps. I use 2 deeps and use 1 deep of honey to get them through the winter. And I don't feed a lot, so that's how I do it. And if you're gonna do this, be prepared, because they go crazy. So this hive it's had a little bit of history of being a little bit aggressive, but you know, about like this. It's you go into them, you go through two of their boxes and you pull every frame out and you go through it. You're gonna make them mad. You're not gonna do this without a suit. So next time I do this, I'm gonna wear the full suit that covers my legs too. So that's it. Give me a thumbs up on the video and subscribe on your way out. Have any questions, put them down below. And I'll try to get to all my comments and questions. And we'll catch you on the next video. Y'all take care.